Find out as they clash for the second time in Golden League 2.
Yep, hearing those sheep come in, it is the sound we all love. MarineLorD spawning in this west side of Canal as that Deli Sultanate.
With a really weird spawn, actually. Like, I had to kind of, I don't know, slap my eyeballs for a second there. This might be the first time I've seen such a southern place TC in relation to the woodline. I think we've seen it occasionally, but usually there's always a stone outcropping or a gold mine that is slightly to the south instead. And yeah, what the?
Yeah.
I have not seen, like, it's weird. I've cast a lot of Canal, and I don't think I've seen a spawn that's this kind of janky. Like, it's balanced in where they've been positioned, but it's also quite peculiar to look at.
Yeah, and one thing we noticed right off the bat, MarineLorD moving out with two of the villagers, dropping a dock as well as a barrack. So looking for more of this Dark Age action. And it's not like this is a dock kind of middle towards his side. This is right up front forward, right near that middle gap opening where all the military and scouts and everyone's going to have to run on through.
And it's cool because the civ that actually really started this all off was the HRE, I'd say. It was one of the first ones that were doing it because the idea of you crack feudal, you pop out 5 or 6 men at arms, and you torch your opponent's dock. I'd love to see more civs just kind of taking that baton. Now, one weakness that the Deli do potentially have from this is that you won't necessarily have the production efficiency, right? Because it's unlikely you're going to run a Scholar all the way out there. Long term, though, it can be a viable strategy. If he did want to do it, I would have maybe expected MarineLorD to drop his bracks and his dock on the south side of the riverbank, so he's close by to a sacred site to capture and then bank afterwards.
Yeah, the question is if he had already scouted that out, I guess he must have run right by it. Yeah. But the first spears are coming out on either side. 3DB already produced a few more. The good thing for MarineLorD is he just needs to play this defensive game. B will really want to have to torch down the dock as well as the barracks. MarineLorD will just have spearmen popping right out, but will have to be careful about getting fully pushed off the barracks. Any production he makes could immediately start getting taken down by the spears on the other side.
But the cool thing is you're the Deli, right? So you've got those fishing boats that can return fire, and this is a cool advantage you have up against the Chinese. Typically in B's position, the next maneuver, when you have a clear dominant advantage in terms of spear count, is to drop an outpost right on the dock. Any other civ, bar the English, this would work. But English or Deli, you're never getting it up. They can always just punish you, even if they don't have the same amount of spears you do.
Yeah, and B, you can see how much he is investing into those spears. Just a line of red just slowly coming across the map. Another IO has already been popped out of the town center and supervising that spear or barracks to have those spears come out even faster. Might just decide to run past the dock and find somewhere else that he can try to pressure, such as the main base.
Well, the cool thing is he can keep this up indefinitely, right? That's the brilliance of the 12 villager start. You can afford this. The only crux in the coming minutes is going to be a lack of long-term food, because we have to remember there's a limited amount of sheep. You've only got berries in the base as well. You can't necessarily keep this up forever. Arguably, the Deli can do it for a longer period of time because they will have those superior gathering rates on the berries at home.
Yep, and a few of those spears going over to those berries that we're talking about. MarineLorD tried to kind of do that play that you do against English and a lot of the other civs that are just kind of trickling in those units, pick off some of the reinforcements and have your group dive down on them. But B had more reinforcements coming in and diving on the gold mine at home.
He's going everywhere. Like B, he's going back to his StarCraft roots. It's time for a little bit of Zergathon. Up to 16, I expect him to go 20 plus spears at this rate. It looks so brain dead and so simple, but yet so effective. One of the things you have to consider about MarineLorD's spawn is how loose that gold spawn has been. Even the berries on the front side, and the fact that if you get enough of these spears together, you don't give a damn about these fishing boats. You can just dive onto them, one torch volley and they die. And even if you can't reach them, that dock is immobile. So you get up to like 25, you can torch down quicker than you die to these measly 7 damage fishing boats.
Yeah, the big question there is I'm not sure if MarineLorD spotted out the vills that swapped him in the midst of those spearmen coming across to his side. Now he definitely will get vision of those two villagers. And what will be his reaction be against that many spearmen already massed up?
Game 2, maybe? I don't know. I think that's where we might be at here, because let's consider the issues you now encounter. You've got enough to tech up, but this many spears already showing. I'm pretty sure B can just turn around and return to the dock. If he wants to do this, it has to be fast, because the Dome of Faith is on the way. Brilliantly done by MarineLorD. He gets just enough gold to guarantee it. If he couldn't get this tech up out, his game is essentially over, because he won't have access to Sanctity, and he won't have access to a counter to these basic spear units.
Yeah, so close to having that exact positioning point happen, but B, focusing down on denying the wood line. No more wood means no more fishing boats. B's already walled off the middle side of the canal to not allow any aggression coming out across, and might end up docking on his side and making this a little bit of a hasn't actually finished up the wall, trying to get it down now, gonna quick wall the rest and then have his spears hope to try to keep the Ville alive.
It's not just about the wood for the fishing boats, by the way. It's the archer ships. It's the potential palisading the other way. And it's also the fact that because you built this many spears, you want to prevent your opponent from building archery range units. It's the only thing that's going to counter you right now quickly. Meanwhile, if you can deny that wood, sure, MarineLorD might eventually wiggle out into the map and find some more. Maybe he builds enough spears to hold you off in the mid-map. But the advantage the Chinese would have built in that time is immeasurable.
Yeah, you can see B already through with his HUP. He's gathering stone, so looking to immediately get some upgrades on the outpost, but... the Vills?
They things happened, Dabston. It's very hard to measure range sometimes, you know? You sit there, you're like, God, what they got on those TCs? Longbows? I thought this was the English. Hey, but that's going to be a big A in favor of MarineLorD. As B now finds himself 3 villages down. This is 2 on the front side. Remember, he also lost that one building up the walls. Sure, you're the Chinese. Sure, they'll eventually get Song Dynasty. This does mean that MarineLorD, for the time being, has a slightly better eco. Something that he's going to look to manipulate now as a civ like the Deli in feudal age, with those sanctity opportunities coming up on the sacred sites.
Yeah, and it looks like B knows he needs to invest into something, bringing the spears around the backside, going for the docks, pulling the fishing ships in, and bringing some Vills to maybe build an outpost quickly, as you had mentioned early on, while the fishing boats are distracted.
It's so tough, though. Like, I think MarineLorD has enough spears to just dive on you, and the archers afterwards can clean up the spears that you're relying on. Like, B, he just needs to switch, and he needs to switch fast. Like, he has 2 choices here. You can try to play Prolonged Feudal with something like Chugin New, or you just try to go for a fast castle. The problem with playing Chugin New here, by the way, natural move now for MarineLorD, with the abundance of food he has access to, is to pivot into Horsemen, at which stage B has no true answer.
Yeah, we already see the archer ship pushing off those spearmen away from the dock. Gold has been reclaimed on the southern side of that canal, and MarineLorD starting to find himself in a really, really solid positioning point that was looking scary early on, and the Barbican is starting to go down.
And he might have got the timing right on this. He kept MarineLorD on the defensive, but he needs to be fast. Maybe he didn't, though. He put it too close to the embankment. Archer ships, an absolute pain in the butt. That looks like he has...
And now Spears getting enough time to come down and around there, think they're going to make it there in time.
Wait.
And B does not have enough mass here to defend this up.
Oh, he didn't get in the choke point. That's the problem there. If B actually moved to the left a little bit earlier, sure, he loses these spears, but I think he buys enough time before they die to get the Barbican up, or at least get the reinforcements here. Now, this delay is going to be pretty heavy. He doesn't need to cancel the Barbican. But keep in mind that because MarineLorD is starting to volley up into these archer counts, right? 7, 8 on the way, and an archer ship is involved in the battle as well, B has no choice now. You have to just give up on the Barbican and go home.
Yeah, absolutely. Forced to cancel out. The fishing ship gets going, the military ship pops out for B now, and it is a defensive Barbican being dropped. But this is where MarineLorD still has that full tempo from earlier on, has that bigger military mass, and can just circle right around the backside and maybe cause some more damage, just like we saw B do to him earlier on.
What in the name of Mother Goose is this base layout? The docks, the Barbicans, like I think B is just trying to build a floating city at this point. And well, the city ain't looking so pretty. You know, it'll protect his own eco, but the amount of idle time, the lost villages, the fact that you don't have to give a damn about this archer ship. Watch what happens here. Spears in, volley out, 2 torch volleys, and you've just lost the boat.
And not only the boat, you've lost more Vills to go with it, more Vill idle time. Demo ship pops out. Able to get a decent connect, but not enough there, in my opinion, as those archers kiting those spears away, and those are the correct counter unit. Vill circling back around, trying to get this Barbican finished on up, and another demo ship, unsuccessful connection.
He killed a lot of air there. That's about all he got, though, and that's problematic because he just burnt a lot of resources, right? They're 160 each, 320 resources just down the drain like that. MarineLorD is very confident, and for good reason, because while B has been desperately trying to scrape together his second feudal, MarineLorD is about to go castle.
Yeah, not only that, Barbican still hasn't been finished. Another archer ship pops out. This Barbican's still trying to be held up, and B looks like he still wants to come and finish it, which he should, well, maybe will be able to do with that extra archer ship in production and just a few more hammers to finish it on up.
I love the way that MarineLorD hasn't been deterred by this outpost on the backside. You see he just left a small wood line in the way to always prevent these losses. And he's at a position where he can move out to the map. The way that B has funneled himself in the center meant that MarineLorD was able to extend onto that southern wood line for free. And now, with the position he has in that area, he can establish additional production buildings and begin to push men at arms that B simply has no answer for. In fact, B is still trying to answer this issue with mere archer ships. Archer ships that are now losing to archers on land.
Another demo pops out. It's just waiting. MarineLorD was expecting this. We knew it wasn't gonna be able to be successful. Now the spears are burning down that Barbican. Will not be able to connect on the archer ship due to the demo defense. But the demo just getting sniped out by the archers, waiting in time. And this is not looking good for B, who might just have that head down, face down response once the compound of the defender finishes up before his Song Dynasty can.
Barbican the Sun sort of fitting being here incomplete because it feels like the sun is setting on B's empire. Game 1 could very easily just be cruising into MarineLorD's favor here. We're 12 minutes in, and yeah, it feels like this is probably like a 92% game in favor of MarineLorD. And I'm only given the few percentiles I am if MarineLorD accidentally disconnects his keyboard and runs his whole army into an explosive demo.
Yeah, and remember, this is not the round that we saw last week with the no keeps, no stone walls. The compound of the defender was the choice, and now that landmark has a very strong research that has been moved away from the keep, so we'll be able to get some of those keep technologies in and could end up seeing some keep drops here for MarineLorD, who also has that sacred site gold flowing from 2 sacred sites already.
Yeah, so, you know, being the Deli in this situation, although you can't build your keeps as quickly as the Chinese, you get to be everything the Chinese wants to be, right? You get to be aggro keep dropping, but also making town centers at the same time at a cheaper rate than any other civ would pay anyway, minus maybe the Abbas's obviously with the eco wing. It's just a frustrating situation to find yourself in. You know, B hasn't tapped out yet. He has gone for his last hurrah, and it was the one I was talking about that he had the option on before, Chugenu. If he'd done this very early, he could have reached a mass where maybe this plan works out. But your clump is so small, and MarineLorD is already pumping lances. This is not going to work.
Yeah, you know, I've seen this work when it's feudal age versus castle for an extended period of time, but just how you said, you usually see the Chukanu number at 50, 60, even, you know, up to 100 at times, but against a small number of Chukanu, Lancers will absolutely shred them. In mass, Chukanu can counter out anything and everything that can be made at all.
I'm just looking at the count, right? It's like you need 5 times the Lancers, at least. You know, then consider the fact that you've already got Undermesh, and the level 2 research shouldn't be far behind it, right? At which stage you are guaranteed to always be doing 1 damage. I mean, you already are guaranteed. I don't know really what B's grand plan is here, right? Like, we have God Vision, so maybe he doesn't realize just how bad it is, but he should feel how bad it is. It's Deli Castle Age, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and it only is going to escalate, only going to get worse. Getting his whole entire woodline idled. He was just running out of that woodline anyways, would have to find a new one, but there isn't going to be a new one as he has just walled himself out of every single other woodline.
Yeah, he was at least able to turn that one horsey into a hedgehog, right, with the amount of arrows it had in it. But that's one. One of 7 other that exists, plenty more on the way. I mean, B, the problem he has now is his comp has become one-dimensional in that if he continues to build this many Chugenu, his opponent is in Castle Age. And we know Castle Age means Mangonel Smash, right? So at this rate, I'm expecting MarineLorD to drop this keep and probably just set up a workshop next to it and force B to come to this one big engagement and essentially lose in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, he already just finished up that one keep. You can already see the stone in the bank for yet another keep. So that's just going to be this keep span all over the map, taking the full map control away from Chinese, who are going to have a very, very hard time on breaking out of this little pocket that he is going to be stuck in.
Yeah, and like when you eventually break out, what are you breaking out for? There's not going to be any relics. Sacred sites have been captured for a long time. Like MarineLorD's eco is just booming. And sure, these Chigenu, you know, they're helping, right? You pat them on the head and say, good job, buddy. Like, you killed one knight every once in a while. But, like, if one knight is idling your entire army and they're not doing any real damage elsewhere, it's a trade you take every day of the week as MarineLorD.
Yeah, not only that, once these keeps start going up, Chukanu will find themselves way less effective, as they can do some good job in destroying some buildings, but as they run past those keeps, numbers will thin out quite quickly.
So what you're saying is if he gets enough Chugenu, he can siege castles. I see, Dabs. Yes, yes, the new meta.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised to see it at times with what I've seen them do, but no, I don't think that will be happening this game. B has climbed that number up to 44, makes him feel like he's doing something positive, but again, don't think he knows how bad of the situation he's in.
And I think this is the point where he should feel it's kind of over. If MarineLorD has another group of Lancers that come around the other side, right? If he stays in the base, splits his group up, and comes out as well, like, you're going to idle the entire economy. And this keep drop, like, it's going to be tough for B to stop. In fact, I don't think this is the way you do this. I think he needs to target two villages at the same time. There we go. He switches over.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing, overkilling the first couple villagers by a lot, but ends up denying the keep, and that is on top of quite a bit of production too that he can attempt to deny, but the Lancers all the way across on the other side of the map. There isn't much more that B's going to be able to make with the damage that's coming through now.
Caramba, there it is. That was the moment I was waiting for. Now that MarineLorD's found the entire economy, it doesn't matter that when you look at the top, B just has such a substantial eco lead. The fact is his entire economy is about to be idle, at least definitely half of it. Not just idle, but dead. You can see the torture coming and the panic to try and keep the wall up. And just how ineffective these Chugonu are. You know, even with B looking to go 60 plus, if he doesn't find a way to go castle plus, these units aren't going to be able to address these knights quick enough.
No, they are not, and a few more vills are getting taken out. The ones rebuilding the wall sniped out by the few archers that MarineLorD had with them, and still more Chukanus on the opposite side. Two big masses for B split up, but just don't think it's going to be enough, as MarineLorD has sent back his Riders of Rohan to clear up that other grouping of the Chuks.
Well, if we're learning anything about the Chugonu, there's been a big question mark. How do you address the Chugonu issue? And what we're learning here is similar to how I address my micro irrelevancy. I ignore it. I pretend it's not a problem. I let future me deal with it. And that's exactly what MarineLorD's done in this game. Future him, with 20 plus heavy cavalry units, is now going to decimate the Chugonu force, as well as the villagers alongside them. Make no mistake, this should be the point where B says, there is no way to go. There is no way to recover. I am done.
Absolutely, there is no other way that he is keeping this game going, and there it is. He throws in the towel and decides to just move on to game number 2.
Definitely done a good job hanging in there. He saw the one opportunity, right, with the Chugonu. We've seen those things pull off miraculous turnarounds in games before. A very oppressive unit, but very impressive way of approaching it by MarineLorD. Always understood that these keeps, as well as his primary TC, are an anchor that keeps him in the game. That means that he never has to feel threatened by the Chugonu. Because sure, they can idle up a chunk of his base. Sure, they could maybe tickle down 1 or 2 Lancers. But with enough time gathered, those Lancers are going to find better targets. And it means that MarineLorD makes it look pretty surgical, actually. Now, despite how close some of these bars looked, I wouldn't say this game looked close at all. Like, B was really playing off of 2 or 3 Hail Marys.